En este video, el activista Andrew Wilson conversa con una mujer que se autopercibe feminista a nivel Dios, y conversan sobre cómo, inclusive en un matriarcado, las mujeres dependerían del uso de la fuerza de los hombres. Comenta qué opinas de lo que dice Wilson.
That they should use force as an authority against women.
Well, sometimes. In some cases, sure. Like if a woman's committing a crime, something like that, I think men are totally justified in using force. I think if a woman attacks a man, he's totally justified in using force.
I'm talking as like a societal.
Yeah, but these are societal prescriptions. If a woman attacks a man, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable for him to smack her
but
up.
there are instances where you say like if like would you condone wife beating?
Well, no, but I wouldn't condone husband beating. So
sure, but you're saying that men's authority is through force. This is how why we should have patriarchy.
No, enforcement. Not so. That's the requisite.
But enforcement is.
Yeah, it is force. Yes.
Yeah. So, do you think that men should work to cooperate with women in society?
No, I think women should cooperate with men in society because they depend on.
What does co mean?
Yeah, I'll explain. I think that women depend on men for the use of force doctrine for their own protection. So I think.
I think under patriarchy, sure.
No, I think under matriarchy they still depend on men for force.
Well, you said protection, right?
Yeah, force.
Yeah. What are you protecting them from?
Well, you could be protecting them from other men, generally.
Right. So, I think under patriarchy, male violence is pervasive.
Under matriarchy, male violence is still pervasive.
Why?
Why is having a female leader going to make male violence no longer pervasive? That's bizarre. There's a difference between saying I have a society that's just filled 100% with women. That would be a claim, but you're not saying that. You're talking about a matriarchy versus a patriarchy.
Right, but I think when it comes to patriarchy, obviously we're talking about male supremacy and domination.
Yeah.
And a form of domination is through violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with all of that. So what?
Yeah. So obviously if that's not a tenet of matriarchy, then I don't think male violence would be pervasive because it's not used as a form of authority.
Are there still going to be men there?
Yeah.
What's going to make them less violent?
Well, obviously because it's not used as a form of authority. But
I just got to telling you that
not tied to masculinity.
Wherever men are and women are, women will depend on men for the use of force, period. That's my claim, regardless of where they are. So it doesn't matter if you have a queen, and it doesn't even matter if you put women as the CEOs of everything.
Are we assuming that just authority in general is force?
No. Authority in general is in force, but in order to have rights or laws or governance of any kind requires force.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, so that's going to require men. So women are dependent upon men for force, period. So I think that
under a system of law, sure.
Under any system of governance. There's no system of governance in which women are not dependent on men for force. None.
You don't think that can be replaced with technology?
Nope. How? Men can destroy the technology. That's what force doctrine is.
Men maybe in groups too, but couldn't I say that about women?
No, because you're still going to have to compete with a male group. So your only options here are either this. Like let's even say you reduce the male population down to 5%. You're just like, yay, it's all women now and it's 5% men or something like this. You still would have a hard time controlling them. We know this because there have been war-torn nations where 80% of the men have died and they're still in charge because of that monopoly on force. It's not because women don't have access to guns. They have access to guns, but they're less good with them. Guns require physical strength. Technology requires physical strength. Like tanks, it requires physical strength to load one.
Okay. But when we're talking about cooperation, like co means with, so what's the delineation between you saying women should cooperate with men rather than men should cooperate with women?
Because men have the option that women don't have of utilizing force to make you cooperate.
Then that's not cooperating.
Yeah. Well, it is. Hang on. But it is still cooperation. So the idea here is just this. Is it the case that men should cooperate with women? I guess if they choose to.
Well, that's what cooperation is.
I would just say if they choose to. I wouldn't say that they should. They're going to be the ones who make the rules because they have the force.
But that's not cooperation.
Well, it can be cooperation.
No, co means with.
Yeah,
so,
it is
so
with.
it's doing it together.
Are you saying that if somebody's in a position of authority, necessarily that's not a cooperation? Like, do you not cooperate with your children?
I mean, I do cooperate with my children.
Yeah, so then
but that's
aren't
not,
you an authority?
That's not an authority.
You're not an authority?
An authority in what sense?
You're in charge.
In charge of certain things, sure.
You're in charge of everything.
What do you mean I'm in charge of everything? I don't tell him like what he
Can
needs to
little
play
Johnny
with.
tell you he's not going to the doctor today, Mom? Can he tell you he's not going to
if
school?
he's sick,
Can he
sure.
tell you he's not going to school?
Again, if he's sick, that's a possibility.
Okay, but
or
you
I
think
don't want to go to school.
You
I'm not
think he's
feeling
lying?
well.
He's like, Mom, I'm sick. You think he's lying? Is Johnny
Okay.
going to school?
Most likely.
Yeah. So
But that's not cooperative. That's me using
when
my
he goes
authority.
and gets in the car, and he's quiet, when you take him to school and you drop him off, that is cooperation.
Es curioso cómo algunos discursos idealizan la cooperación pacífica como única vía para el funcionamiento social, ignorando que la fuerza, cuando es legítima y proporcionada, ha sido el cimiento de toda civilización avanzada. El hombre biológicamente dotado de mayor fuerza física ha utilizado esta cualidad no para oprimir sino para proteger, desde garantizar la seguridad de su comunidad hasta mantener la infraestructura que hace posible la vida en sociedad. Incluso la tecnología, ese supuesto igualador, depende finalmente de quien controle su poder, y la historia muestra que son las sociedades que dominan la fuerza, física, militar o tecnológica, las que imponen orden y progreso. En las relaciones internacionales, pretender que los acuerdos se cumplen solo con diálogo es ingenuo. Las potencias no negocian desde la debilidad, sino desde la capacidad de hacer respetar sus intereses. A nivel interno, ¿acaso alguien cree que el crimen organizado se disuade con palabras? La fuerza policial y militar es lo único que frena a quienes solo entienden el lenguaje del poder. Esto no es machismo ni autoritarismo, sino realismo puro. Sin un monopolio legítimo de la fuerza, el caos devora los derechos que tanto dicen defender. El verdadero progresismo sería reconocer que la fuerza, usada con proporcionalidad y justicia, es lo que permite que florezcan la cooperación y la libertad. Mientras algunos fantasean con un mundo donde todos colaboran voluntariamente, son los hombres fuertes, desde los soldados hasta los ingenieros que dominan la tecnología, los que mantienen las luces encendidas. La próxima vez que alguien condene el uso de la fuerza, pregúntense, ¿preferirían vivir donde esa fuerza no existe, o donde cae en manos equivocadas? ¿Y tú, qué opinas? Déjamelo saber en los comentarios. Aquí termina este video. Si te gustó, dale like, comenta y compártelo. Además, si disfrutas este tipo de contenido, suscríbete a mi canal. Tengo más videos similares que podrían encantarte. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.